Good afternoon. Hope you all had a great break for lunch. We thought we'd do something different this afternoon. We're leading into our session on non-verbal communication. And now you all know that I'm a lawyer and a facilitator with Speakers Institute Corporate, but what you may not know is that I'm an avid tango dancer. So to lead into non-verbals, we thought we might do a session on the 4 communication lessons I've learned from dancing tango. And to do that, I'd like you to welcome my beautiful dance partner, Gabby. And Gabby teaches tango at Erskineville on Monday nights. You should check out her lessons. Now, intro please.
At a casual glance, the tango looks for all the world like a man pushing a woman around the floor. But there is so much more happening that we don't see. Those arguments. I feel like I can't trust you. You're never present. You don't love me. Sometimes in business and in relationships, we just don't have the words to express concepts in a way that lands, in a way that is understood. If you have decided that 2020 is the year you will embrace your vision, then within the complex, exhilarating interplay of this intricate dance, you will find all the vocabulary you need to express those things that cannot be said. The tango, the international language of love, loss, and longing.
How did it go there?
How did it go there?
It was okay.
Oh no, you put me down all the
Putting
time.
you down, I said it was okay.
No, it wasn't okay.
All right,
I
it was
couldn't
good.
hear
It was solid.
anything.
Solid.
It was horrible.
Oh, you are insane. You're just driving me. Oh, God. I hate you. Does that look familiar? I bet it does. Don't move. Just stay there. In that scenario, was there any communication happening? Now, we were yelling at each other, but there was no connection. And that's the first lesson of communication from tango. It takes two
To tango.
to tango. And the reason it takes 2 to tango is a dance that's danced entirely without words. We make connection with our bodies and we move. Now let's make something very clear from the start. We're not talking here about choreographed stage tango, which is doing moves that we practiced and worked out before. This is the sort of tango which is danced in the bordellos of Buenos Aires, in the salons of Paris. You can have 100 couples in a room and they're all doing different things, all feeling the music and expressing the dance in their own way. So there has to be a communication of invitation and following. But it's not just any connection. Tango's danced chest to chest. And the connection has to be just right. It can be too light, or it can be too heavy, and it can feel beautiful or it can feel horrible. So let's just look at that. Imagine dancing with someone who's making no connection, very, very light. How do I know when to step? How does Gabby know when to follow? It just doesn't happen. In fact, have you been in relationships like that where one of the people is present in the house, but just not present in the relationship? They're not contributing, they're not part of things, and no matter how hard you try, they're just not there. But of course, it could be worse. It could be too heavy. You're dancing and pounce on me. It's like carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I've danced with some tango partners like this over the years. It feels heavy, it feels suffocating. These sort of partners are too clingy. They're overbearing and pushy. They invade my space. It is horrible. So we need a connection which is just right. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of Sheryl Sandberg, who's the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Facebook, or as it's now called Meta. And Sheryl's made millions of dollars from a book that she's written called Lean In. But what does lean in really mean? Let's see how it is when we translate it into Tango. Now, we're dancing chest to chest and we're leaning in, but here's the interesting thing. If I move away, Gabby's still holding her axis. She doesn't fall over. She's not collapsed. And the same with me. If Gabby moved, my axis is solid too. And that's how we need to be in all communication and relationships. Not too heavy, not too light, just right. So, how do you achieve that Goldilocks connection? Remember Tango. First lesson of Tango, for communication you need connection. And here's a bonus point. If you don't have connection, don't even bother starting. Lesson number 2. Non-verbals are way more powerful than the words we use. Now let me translate that into Tango. Let's take a simple sentence. We're going to Mother's for dinner on Sunday. And let's see how that could be translated using Tango. Now we're going to use a very simple move here. It's called an ocho. And you'll learn it in your second Tango lesson, third Tango lesson.
Yeah.
It's called an ocho because it's a figure of 8. In fact, let's turn around so that people can see you more, which is much more important. Figure of 8. So Gabby's stepping, forming a figure of 8 and stepping back. So there's different ways we could do that same move. Let's look at the first one. And this is, we are going to Mother's on Sunday afternoon. Kind of rough, yeah? How'd it feel?
Oh, very rough.
Very rough. Now, there are times we need to use that sort of communication. If a fireman's rescuing someone from a burning building, he'll throw the person over the shoulder and carry them down the ladder. Or if someone's drowning, you might have seen the dog that they rescued from the floodwaters recently. The dog's there. You've just got to grab it and hold it and move it. But there's no freedom and there's no enjoyment. That is coercion. Let's try another way. Now in this one, we launch in, and I just kind of disappear. And then I bring you back. This is called ghosting. What this is, really, if you translate it, is I am going to Mother's on Sunday afternoon. Frankly, what you do is up to you. And this sort of passive-aggressive communication also feels dreadful because it triggers all of our abandonment fears. All of the, he was with me, and then he's gone. So already we're seeing that the same movement can have a completely different feeling. Let's try another one. This one's rather nice. We are going to Mother's on Sunday afternoon. Now, did you see that every movement there was controlled? I never gave Gabby more than about an inch of room to move, and every movement was controlled. What that really means is, putting it in more language, on Sunday evening, I have the driver booked and the limousine, the champagne's on ice, and we are going to Mother's. Now that can be kind of nice, having someone in control all the time, but it gives Gabby no freedom of expression, no chance to play, no way to show her flair, her own ideas. So let's try another one. Whoa. Did you see that? Let's just have that one again. Whoa. That, my friends, is a secret Tango signal. Come in here, I'll share a secret with you. What that move means is, no promises, but if you keep dancing nicely like that, I may invite you for a private lesson this evening. So this is really good. And the thing about it is, this only ever happens when Gabby has the freedom to express herself. So if we're translating this back into words, this really means, I'd like to go to Mother's on Sunday evening. Well, but if you've got some other ideas, I'm well and truly open to exploring those. So, what this teaches us is, in many ways, the words we say don't matter. And in fact, I've heard people say, I can't hear what you're saying because your body language is shouting too loudly. Our non-verbal communication is way more powerful than our verbal communication. So if you're having those discussions that just don't seem to land, I say, but I said this. And your partner says, yes, but that's not what you meant, or that's not what I understood. Work out whether your non-verbals are consistent with your verbal communication. Now, Tango lesson number 3 is trust. And we say in business, trust is everything. And in relationships, trust is everything. Stephen Covey brought out a book called something, The Speed of Trust. And we've all seen that blockchain talks about it's a trust machine, injecting that into a world where trust has broken down. We're all talking about trust, but what does trust feel like in the body? So to explain what trust feels like in the body, I thought we might do an advanced move, which you might get into when you say 3 years into learning Tango. It's called a volcata, and it's an advanced move because it takes the other person off axis. So remember we talked about holding our own axis? Well, on this one, I'm actually going to pull Gabby off her axis. And that's kind of scary. To do that, you need trust. Yeah. So let's see what that looks like. A volcata looks like this. You set up. So Gabby's pulled off her axis and she does a beautiful sweep round with her leg. But here's the interesting thing. I often lead that move in milongas, and many times my partner won't do it. They won't feel the connection. And they'll just walk through. They won't do the beautiful sweep. And the reason for that is she doesn't feel my connection. She doesn't feel my trust. Now, bring the camera in here to Gabby's back. Nick Young, the great tango teacher from London, taught me this. He said, to do a volcata, what you need to do is start the movement, and at this point, hold tightly and lift so that she knows you're there and you're not going to drop her. And then launch into the volcata. You need that moment of trust. Now here's the thing. How do you generate trust? Gabby and I have been dancing together for 10 years. We've danced many different places, many different situations. You basically trust me. And trust evolves layer upon layer. It's all those little things. It's being faithful with the small, dancing well, her trusting that my job in this is to make her look beautiful, which she does. Trust is things like remembering birthdays. Trust is things like delivering products on time and on budget. Trust is things like keeping communication open with your clients. And that's developed over time, layer by layer. But you have to remember that for trust, there is also the moment of trust. And that's where things like your guarantees become important. That's where that last minute communication, updating people on what you're doing is so important. It's that little thing which says, I'm with you, you can trust me. Lesson number 4 from Tango. And this one's the coolest of all of them. So lean in. Are you getting good value from this? I hope you are. When things go wrong, what do you do? Things go wrong in Tango.
Oh, definitely.
All the time, yeah.
Yes.
And particularly when I'm leading, yes?
Yeah.
When you're doing something and it's not, no, that's not what I meant. I meant sort of, well. Now, Gabby's rather good because she can make it up as she's going along. But sometimes we just get into a huge mess. So the thing to do in Tango is when we get into a huge mess, we stop, we breathe, and we reconnect. And I'd suggest that whether it's in the bedroom or the boardroom, when things go wrong, the thing to do is stop, breathe, and reconnect. So there we have it, the 4 lessons in communication that we've learned from Tango. The first is, without connection, there is no communication. And if there's no connection, don't even bother trying to start. The second thing is, our non-verbal communication is just so much more powerful than our verbal communication. The third thing is, what does trust feel like? There's general trust that grows layer on layer from being faithful with the small. And there's specific trust that people need to feel each time we ask them to really stretch out for us. And then the 4th lesson is, when things go wrong, stop, breathe, and reconnect. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. If you'd like to see more of these Tango tips, please launch and have a look on YouTube. And if you would like us to come along to your event to talk about the communication tips learned from Tango, we would love to hear from you. And
We have classes every Monday and Friday in Australian. Looking forward to meeting you there on the floor.
thank you very much.
Thank you.